Okay, Raina, I have 6 o'clock. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay. We're going to call the Selma City Council regular meeting for October 5th, 2020 to order at 6 p.m. It's located at the Selma City Council chambers in Selma, California. Also via teleconference phone number 1301-715-8592. Meeting ID number is 822-5224-7236, and the password is 1710. Once again, I need to read a statement quickly. On March 4th, 2020, Governor Newsom proclaimed a state of emergency in California as a result of the threat of COVID-19. On March 17th, 2020, Governor Newsom issued Executive Order N-2920, which allows local legislative bodies to hold public meetings via teleconferencing and to make public meetings accessible telephonically or otherwise electronically to all members of the public seeking to observe and to address the local legislative body. Pursuant to Executive Order N-2920, please be advised that some or all of the City of Selma Council will be participating in the meetings via teleconferencing. Public participation pursuant to Executive Order N-2920, and given the current health concerns, members of the public can access meetings streamed live on our YouTube page. Members of the public may not attend the meeting in person. In lieu of attendance at the meetings, the public can provide public comments verbally for the City Council's consideration by calling in on the number posted on our agenda. Staff will unmute the public during the public comment portion of the meeting. Alternatively, the public can send correspondence to the City Council regarding agenda items by emailing publiccomment@cityofselma.com by 5 p.m. the day of the meeting with the subject line Selma City Council meeting correspondent followed by the agenda item, or City of Selma non-agenda items in the subject line. All correspondence that does not relate to a specific item on the agenda will be made part of the official record of this meeting and be referred to the city manager or other staff for any appropriate action or attention. Correspondence that does relate to a specific item on the agenda will be addressed appropriately during the consideration of the agenda item to which it relates. Contact the city clerk with any questions by phone at City Hall, phone number 559-891-2200, extension 3104, or by emailing the email, or by using the email address reference above, which is publiccomment@cityofselma.com. Okay, now that we have an order, we will move on to our invocation led by Pastor Luis Quintana from the New Hope Family Church.
Thank you. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for this evening. And as it's written in your word, this is a day that you have made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. I pray that we're able to find joy in this day. And if we struggle to find any joy, Lord, we just ask that you would just settle us with your unconditional love. I thank you, Lord, that love binds us together in perfect unity. And I pray for unity among our city leaders this evening, that they will lead and rule with integrity and with honesty and respect. And Father, I pray that you would just grant them wisdom with every decision that they make. I thank you for your protection from the virus that still plagues, Lord, areas of our county. And I ask that you would just bring us through this difficult time. And I pray for the health of our citizens of Selma, for every family, for every child in school. We just pray that you would just begin to help them through any difficulties that they have with their studies. And I just pray for those that find purpose in living in this city, God. I pray that you would just bring them to the forefront to help us make this a better place to live. I just want to honor you with this prayer, and I want to bring to your attention, God, that we love you and that Selma is a special place. And we just ask for your grace over our city. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 Amen. Thank you, Pastor.
Okay, please let's stand for the flag salute. Ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Avalos,
Here.
Councilmember Robertson,
Here.
Councilmember Trujillo,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra,
Here.
Mayor Franco.
Here. Okay. Potential conflict of interest. Any council member who has a potential conflict of interest may now identify the item and recuse himself from discussing and voting on the matter. Seeing none. Okay. Oral communications. Notice to the public, at this time, any member of the public may address the city council regarding any items which the council has jurisdiction. No actions or discussion will be taken on any item not on the agenda. Issue raised will be referred to the city manager for review. Members of the public shall limit their remarks to 3 minutes. City Clerk, do we have anybody wishing to speak?
Mayor Franco, we have no emails and we have no callers on the line.
Okay. And at that point, we will move on to our special presentations. We have 2 presentations this evening. Our first one being the city's COVID-19 presentation. So I think that's you, Tracy.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Thank you again for the opportunity to share these updates with you. Real quick, just a few things. Overall, just want to say what a great job Selma's done in nipping our cases, and we're doing really good. Thankfully, you know, the outlook is pretty good for Selma right now. Just need to stay the course. To help us get there, definitely recommending everyone get their flu shots. If you have a medical care provider, please go and make an appointment with them or find one of their open clinic times and save the free flu shots for those that may not have access to healthcare providers and don't have their own health insurance. We do have a free clinic coming up in Kingsburg on Thursday from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. And there are other free flu clinics around the county, and we can get you that information if requested. Just another reminder on rent and evictions as we find ourselves again at the beginning of the month. We do have a rent grant program available from Central La Familia, which is, I don't think it's quite launched yet, but you can call the number and get on the waiting list for that assistance. And then any potential legal issues with rent and eviction payment or rent payments and evictions, I definitely recommend calling Central California Legal Services at the 1-800 number listed there. And I also have more information on developselma.com. Our status update recently, we moved into the red tier, which means the COVID virus, the coronavirus is substantial. It's no longer widespread, we're in substantial, and that's the red tier. As you can see, the last 3 weeks there, our numbers have been improving. We had purple numbers, we've got some red, now we're moving into orange, which is great because a lot more things can open up when we go into the orange tier. So what red means for Fresno County, this does mean our schools can resume in-person classes. They will be starting off on their own track of mediating the disease. They will not have to reclose if the county is pushed back into purple. The response for schools will be handled a little bit differently. So this is a good milestone for us to at least approach that reopening for our students. Selma Unified has an event on Wednesday at 6:30. There's the Zoom information here for you. This is an open forum for community members, parents, anybody that would like to call in and get more information about how the school opening is going to work. And for the red tier for our businesses, this allows places of worship to open up at 25% of their capacity. Movie theaters can reopen at 25%, restaurants. Personal care services are open again. These just have to be socially distant services, much in the way that our hairdressers and barbers are working currently. And our gyms get to open up with 10% capacity. Some new guidance was put out for Halloween and the fall holidays from both the CDC and the county. This is the county flyer. They're not really recommending trick-or-treating. It is technically a high risk activity. Even trunk or treat is high risk. Just recommending really that you evaluate what your risk tolerance is and act within the appropriate bounds of that. If you're someone who's at a high risk of contracting the disease and not doing well with it, stay home, do something fun around the house, do a scavenger hunt in the home, or do a walking scavenger hunt where you're not actually approaching homes, but you might be able to parade around in a costume and still partake in some of the activities. Get creative. It's a fun holiday. Hopefully our community will be able to stay safe. And parks and playgrounds, there's new guidance for how these can operate and open up safely. There's some requirements for signage, so we'll be evaluating on the city end what is feasible, and if we should maybe hold back on a few items such as basketball hoops. I know a question came in about some sports in our parks. Basketball, unfortunately, is one of those high contact sports, much like soccer, where you're breathing heavily, you're in really close contact with people. It's much different than playing tennis where you're, across the field, or playing golf where you're across, a large field. Unfortunately, those are some of our favorite sports here, basketball and soccer, but, just hold off on those as much as possible because it does cause mixing of households and close contact. Some changes we're looking at for the city is, now that we're in the red zone, bringing back yard sales and issuing that with some COVID recommendations, some extra signage, and an acknowledgement that holding a yard sale does increase their risk of catching coronavirus. We've had some drive-in movies, and those have been a big success. So thank you to the Chamber and the Arts Center and all the city staff that had a hand in that. They seem to be going really well. It is also another opportunity for us to educate the public on COVID and all of the mitigation issues that we have. The Art Center will be starting some art classes, and I think they have some fun Halloween stuff coming up. So we are looking forward to that. And lastly, the business grant is up and running. I've received a few applications, and if they're missing any piece of it, I will contact them just to make sure that the applications are complete. It's a very friendly application. It's not super complicated. I am here to provide technical support on that. So I'll be accepting those applications through the end of the month. Our local statistics, this is the good news that we only had 21 active cases last week with our update from the county. And then we also had only 26 under investigation, whereas you can see just a few weeks ago, hundreds were under investigation and hundreds were active. We've dropped off pretty quick, so that's really good news. Our curve you'll see here is really flattening out. That blue line was our estimated amount of cases. I was anticipating being up over 2,000 cases by now. We're flattening it out, and that's great. That's helping the county. That helps us as a whole move forward into the new tiers. So good on you, Selma. I'm really proud. And our Cover Up to Open Up campaign is still chugging along a little bit more quietly in the background, but we are still delivering packets out. Thank you, council members and mayor, anyone who showed up this weekend at Ringo Park. We did receive 700 packets of cloth masks and hand sanitizers. Not sure how many of those actually got handed out, but we have all the remainder, so we will get those out to the public. And just a few stats here that we've delivered over 7,000 masks and reached around 2,500 homes. So our city staff has been working really hard on this, and it takes a lot of time, but it's definitely the work that's been needed, and obviously it looks like it's having an impact. So thank you to everybody who's had a hand in that. And I will take any questions.
Tracy, I have a question.
Yes.
What happens if there are fewer applications than there are dollars? Will the city extend the deadline for the CARES Act money, or what will happen then?
If there are fewer applications, I'm going to kind of gauge it as I go on and hopefully max out the applications, at least for this first round. I think there's a lot of folks that really need it. We can look at maybe expanding the requirements for it. Maybe we open it up to our retailers. Maybe we open it up to a few more types of businesses that are struggling. Maybe it's just the limitation on the industries that we could expand first. And so far what I've seen, they're all asking for the maximum amount. So If I see any that are asking for less and I don't have enough applications, I'll probably recommend they ask for a little bit more and have them resubmit an application to me that way. The money can just go back to the general pot and see how we do over the winter. And if there's more closures, then maybe we hang on to those dollars for another round of grant applications.
And the deadline, refresh my memory, is the end of the month.
The end of the month, October 31st, midnight, since I am taking email submissions, anything that comes into me before then, whatever I've got in the mailbox here on that Monday, 1st of November. Yeah, just
And
through the
people
month.
could fill out a paper if they don't feel comfortable with the online version. They can print it out, fill it in, and just bring it into City Hall.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Tracy, I have a question. Is the application in Spanish also?
It is not. The letter that went out to the businesses, it was stated in Spanish that the application currently is only in English, but they can call here and we will help them fill it out.
Good. So we do have contact. If they do contact the office, you guys have someone ready to help them through the process.
Yes, I will work with Tracy or with Raina or one of our other bilingual staff members to help them complete the application.
Good.
All right, if there's no other questions, thank you, Tracy. We'll move on to our second
Thank you.
presentation then. Our next presentation is City Code Enforcement Services presentation.
Hello, City Mayor and City Council. Today we have Code Enforcement Staff Presentation, Caseload, Process, and Codes, presented by Code Enforcement Officer, myself, Juan Mendez. What do we do as Code Enforcement Officers? Code Enforcement Officers receive documents, complaints regarding health, safety, parking, building, business license, and other municipal code or other city ordinance violations. We investigate complaints, determine the validity of the complaints, and take appropriate actions to assist in the preparation of court cases, municipal code violations, which cannot be handled through the administrative means, and perform related duties as required. This is the current map that we have. We do have 2 code enforcement officers in the city of Selma. During this period, myself, I am in beat 1, and Javier, the second code enforcement officer, is in beat 2, which is going to be the green. It's going to be east of Selma. And we rotate this map every 6 months. The caseload from April 20th, 2019 through September 30th. The open cases that we have is 271. Out of this number, we had closed 185, and we have 86 cases that remain open. The top 3 violations that we focused on this pay period is, it's going to be for property maintenance, nuisance vacant properties, and vehicle abatement. Number of citations issued during this time frame, which is April 20th, 2019 through September 30th, 2020, was 46. We have 8 citations that were issued more than what we had last quarter, the last presentation. And projects that we're working during this time was building the relationship with other agencies like Fresno County, Caltrans, to bring resources to the city of Selma. The process, how we work is through complaints, or we're proactive, patrolling the city. Once we receive the complaint or find a violation, we investigate. We send out the courtesy notice, the notice of violation, and then we go to for 14 days. After 14 days, if the residents do not comply, and then we move on to the first admin site, which we provide 10 days for compliance and a $100 fine, and then we move over to step 2, which is second admin site, and we provide 10 more days and a $200 fine. After that, we move on to third administrative citation, which we issue and provide 10 days and a $500 fine. During this quarter, we got a couple cases that we actually made it to the third administrative citation, and the issues got resolved on the property. I know City Council would be happy to receive the next step, would be an abatement warrant. And then after that, after we receive the abatement warrant, we move on to the abate the nuisance, and then we lien the property. We've been focusing on private residential properties, vacant nuisance properties, cleanups, vehicle abatement projects, COVID-19 outreach and support, billboard signs, shopping carts, and animal complaints. Private residential properties, I got a couple of pictures before and after. This is an alleyway. Before city staff, residents couldn't make it down the alleyway. As you can see in the after picture, a lot of the debris, overgrown trees and weeds were removed. We're still working on this in this area here to get it cleaned up. There's also a before and after picture of an empty lot that was being used as the illegal dumping grounds. We have worked with property owners to clean it up and keep it clean. Vacant nuisance properties. There's a before and after picture that was provided by the property owners, the property management company. It's aerial pictures before and after. This a cleanup project, before and after. Cleanup projects. This is one of the cleanups that we focused on. Was being used by transient people in the city. Got it cleaned up. Here's another picture before and after. This is on a cleanup on Golden State Boulevard in Highland. This is a cleanup in the alley before and after. City staff cleanup project on Highland Avenue. There's going to be a Caltrans cleanup on Floral Avenue on the off-ramp, the before and after. This continuation, just another pictures. Vehicle abatement. Vehicle abatement project on private property. Here's the before and after. Here's another vehicle abatement project. And then we've been focusing on removing nuisance vehicles from private property. And these are just examples of some vehicles that were found in somebody's backyard and property owners wanted to get rid of, which we assisted with. COVID-19 outreach. During COVID-19, we visited 40 restaurants in one day, providing them with the plan that Fresno County requested that the restaurants or business owners fill out. We have assisted with senior food distribution, daily inspections of restaurants, gyms, barbershops, hair salons, churches, other large gatherings, which we forward this information over to Tracy. That way she can follow up with Fresno County. We have been focusing on yard sales. When we see yard sales, at this point, we're educating the public. Store gouging, price checks. So during a couple months ago, when COVID started, stores were bumping up the prices on toilet paper and hand sanitizers, so food. They would contact City Hall. We would go out to the store and investigate, and we would report it to the right department. During the COVID-19, we have noticed a large spike in residential food vendors, which once we receive the complaint, we follow up and provide this information to Fresno County Health Department so that they can deal with the issue since they're the ones that enforce. And then we've been educating the public about COVID-19, the guidelines, everything that we get with. We've been working really close with Tracy. We get information from her and we provide it to the public as we go or as needed. And here are just some pictures of that we have taken during this time. The first picture on this one is going to be a home where they were selling food from, large gathering. The one in the middle is going to be, a sign that was placed on somebody's door for appointments. And then the ones with the eggs, that's we had received a complaint that price was too high. So we went out, investigated, found no price gouging. And this is the picture of that was taken when we removed the yard sales. We go out to the location and we educate the person in charge of the yard sale. The billboard signs near Highway 99 and 2nd Street. I know this interests the City Council. We have been working. We sent a courtesy notice to the property owners. We have sent a courtesy notice to the property owners, and they had made contact with city staff. We're currently working with them. They have submitted, a few have submitted plans that they want to develop the properties and use the signs to advertise their business. So we are in contact with them. At this point, no admin sites have been issued. And these are the signs. Shopping cart, Title 8, Chapter 4, since abandoned shopping carts ordinance was adopted back in February 3rd, 2020, city staff has focused on collecting shopping carts within the city limits. At this point, 85 unidentified shopping carts have been collected by city staff. 125 shopping carts have been collected and retrieved by business owners. Business owners are out collecting the shopping carts. They collect the shopping carts when notified by city staff. City staff is working with business owners on completing a plan that works on preventing shopping carts from being removed from the property. Plans are at various stages. Deadline to complete this plan is October 15th. City staff has been collecting shopping carts every Friday. The shopping carts are collected and the business are notified. The business owners then retrieve the shopping carts from city yard located at 2155 East Front Street on Tuesdays. City staff will continue to work together with business owners to keep shopping carts within their shopping center and out of the city Selma streets. And just a quick note, Public Works does collect shopping carts throughout the week as well. I just wanted to throw that out there. And this is just pictures of the shopping carts that have been collected. The numbers have gone down dramatically. When we started, we were picking up an average maybe around 25. Now we're collecting about 10 per on Fridays. These are just a couple other pictures. The last picture, the brown truck, that's the vendor that picks them up. This is just a picture of this City of Selma yard, and the other one is going to be the contractor that picks up the shopping carts for some of the local stores here in Selma. And then we also receive animal complaints. During this quarter, we received a complaint about a dog breeder that had large amount of dogs. City staff worked with the property owner to remove the animals from the property, find them good homes. Property owner was happy on how the issue got dealt with. The animals found a good home and everybody was happy. Neighbors were happy. We also encountered a resident that had a baby goat, which got removed from the city limits.
The first one.
The summary and direction, continue to be proactive and abate city blight that include nuisance vacant properties, property maintenance, illegal dumping, cleanup projects. Looking forward to continue working with property owners on projects that got put on pause due to COVID-19 restrictions. The projects will be updated on the next code enforcement presentation. I do want to thank, we want to thank the police department, public works, fire, and finance on helping us, working together to get these projects, these cleanups going and get them done. Couldn't do it without them. This is how to contact code enforcement for any issues. You can contact Javier Pedro, his phone number, or by email. Contact myself. Here's my phone number and my email. You can call in to reception, Tracy. She'll be more than happy to help you, and she'll provide information. She'll transfer it over to one of us to help the residents. Or you can also go to our website. It's eGov link. And that's it for me, guys.
All right, thank you, Juan. Any questions for Juan, guys?
Juan,
yeah, I
if
do.
you had, if you were to work on weekends, say one weekend a month or one Saturday, I know you talked about the yard sales. Maybe you find them on Friday, but you're not here on weekends. Would that have any kind of beneficial effect to be able to be in the city, looking around at, say, maybe some construction projects or yard sales or things like that, activities that go on during the weekends?
Yeah, most definitely. If we were to work weekends, we would be able to, catch some of the things that happens on the weekends. For example, a lot of people, they sell food, they have yard sales, and they do construction because they know, code enforcement is not in town. So the city would benefit from having us on here on the weekend.
Jim, you had a-
Yeah, I have a question here. Juan,
Yes.
in the past, we have discussed that sign off of Second Street, those businesses. And I know that we, as council, we were supposed to notify the property owner if they didn't take them off, we were going to charge them or whatever, put on.
We're going to remove them.
Yes, we're
Right.
going to remove them. Yes, that's correct. What happened between now and then? What happened now?
I have to confess that I don't know. I think your code enforcement officer is about to say something there.
Right. So I
We had
looked at
some-
these.
Go ahead, Juan. We had something in play in our city council, in the past to remove those off Second Street, to remove those signs off of those sites. And if they didn't do it, we were going to remove them ourselves. So at a cost. So I know you're not aware of the previous council, but I know it's somewhere in our archives there.
If I may, council members and Juan, I just wanted to share that there had been discussions with the previous some time ago about it, and that process was started, but there's a sequence of events that has to happen in a certain order that Juan kind of went over in there, and previously somewhere in there that got stopped. So we are starting that process again. And as Juan explained, we have reached out to those property owners, and 2 of the 3 have responded to us. We've actually had meetings with them. One of them, we'll be giving them some time. They say they want to develop the property. So we'll give them 30 days to move forward with that. And if they don't, then we will start the abatement process per council's direction, because they are blighted signs. And if they're not going to be utilized, we want them removed.
Right.
So we're still trying to reach the 3rd property owner and get a response. And if not, we will start the abatement
Oh, okay.
process.
Yeah, I mean,
And I did want to mention one thing also that our code enforcement officer brought up. Juan, I think we had talked about how you have had a more vehicle, RV type vehicle citations or concerns about those types of violations. Did you want to share a little bit more about that, what you're seeing in the community?
Yeah, so during this quarter, we have noticed a lot more residents bringing RVs and parking them on the lawn on their property. A lot of these lots are not designed to have RVs. The RVs do contain or do have engines that have oils and that kind of liquids in them that pollute our water. So we have been working with a few property owners to have those RVs removed from the property, whether they put them in storage or they put it in an assigned area on their property with an approved surface. That's something that we're going to be focusing on here. It's a case-by-case scenario, which we provide adequate time for the property owners or the owners of these vehicles to remove them, find a place where to store them.
Juan, I have a question.
Yes.
Councilman Robertson brought up a good question in regards to the weekend work. I received a couple of phone calls. I've been receiving a couple of phone calls in regards to people selling food on Saturdays and Sunday, even little businesses that are not businesses of food. They just happen to start cooking it. And right now, because of the stress that the restaurants are having in our community, I feel that us as the leaders in this community, one thing we can do to help the resident or the restaurants in Selma is just oversight, just doing the oversight. So it's a good idea to probably think about doing the weekends because I would hope there are some licensing or some oversights that people can do. I understand people need, they're needing the money, but I also understand that we have restaurants that right now are really, really dying and they need our oversight. Our oversight is really important. So that's a good thing they brought up the weekends, and I would hope that you would think about that because it's something that's really needed in this community.
Juan, I have a question for you. On this cleanup, which is amazing, what I'd like to know is what's the time frame that this is taken to get these properties cleaned up like this? Has it been like 6 months ago? Has it been 4 months, 3 months?
So each cleanup is a case-by-case scenario. They have different, obstacles that we gotta work with and work around. We do have a process where we notify the property owner when we don't get a response, and then we'll go ahead and clean it up. But first and then there's some other cases where they're considered dangerous, and we do work with the fire department to evaluate the situation. We do bring it over to our management and we discuss it and we take the appropriate steps to get it cleaned up. But for the most part, some of the cleanups that we have done, it takes, I want to say like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And a lot of these properties, we work with Fresno County, and the property owners are nowhere to be found. They're off the record.
So you guys don't have a start time and an end date? You guys are not keeping track of this information?
So we do. We have dates. I don't have the dates here. I had to go look into my record for these dates.
Thank you.
Juan, are you a call for service or do you drive around looking for code violations?
I'm proactive. I drive around. Usually what I like to do is when we get a complaint about, let's say a nuisance vehicle parked on a property, I usually go up and down to 1 or 2 streets and I take care of the area. So I do a little bit of both. I'm proactive and on case-by-case scenario.
I have one more question, Juan, and I'm glad you brought up dangerous, because I continue to get so many complaints in regards to a property that's on the corner of Rose and Dockery. And it's a broken down fence that's concrete, that's boarded up with boards, concrete on the ground. And this is now going on 2 years, probably even longer. The owner said he was going to get it fixed, but they're waiting for block to come in. Well, that's been over 1.5 years ago. So my question is to you, what are you going to do about that property? Because I know you've been getting a lot of complaints, because I get them and I send them over to code enforcer. And now they're telling me that there's 2 big dogs there that jump on that fence and people can't walk through there. So I'd like to know, what are you doing about that?
Yeah, so when I received the first call, I went out there, I took a look at it. The fence itself, it's sturdy. I forwarded this complaint over to Robert, our building inspector. He's the one that makes the final call. As far as the large dogs, I will work with animal control to go out there and talk to the property owner regarding the dogs. And I can update City Council on the next presentation on what the outcome is for this issue on the fence.
I live close to that location that the pro tem is referencing, and I believe there's a roof issue as well with some greenery growing out of the roof on the west side.
Okay, like I said, I will go ahead and forward this information over to Robert. I will go out there with them. We'll see we'll take the appropriate steps to get this issue resolved, and I will update City Council on the next presentation.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Juan. With that, I think that's all the questions, and thank you for both your and Javier's hard work, and we look forward to your next presentation.
Thank you.
With that, we will close our special presentation and move on to our consent calendar. All items listed under the consent calendar category are considered routine. The complete consent calendar will be enacted by one motion, roll call vote. For purpose of discussion, any council member may have any item removed from the consent calendar and made part of the regular agenda. The council then can approve the remainder of the consent calendar. Is there any items that anybody would like to move?
I'd like to take off H.
Okay.
And I'd like to take out D.
B or D?
D is in dog.
Okay, okay.
Okay, we have H and D. Is there any other items?
I'll make a motion to approve A through B, C, and E. F and G.
Second.
Okay, do we have a second? Then roll call, please.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Trujillo,
Aye.
Councilmember Robertson,
Yes.
Councilmember Avalos,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra,
Yes.
Mayor Franco.
Yes. Okay. We will go with just in alphabetical order. So that item D. Go ahead, Jim.
Reason why I pulled it, I know we're going to order a forklift, but the question is on the old one, are we going to dispose it, get rid of it, put it out to sell and recoup some of that money out of the old forklift, Teresa?
Ask our Public Works Director if he has an update on that.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can now.
Thank you. The old forklift is it's getting to the point where we're having a hard time finding parts for it to make the necessary repairs that it needs at this point. So we will definitely weigh the option of getting rid of it, see if it's beneficial to another city, and if it's passes safety inspections, then we definitely do plan on going that route. If we can sell it, we will, to recoup some of the the money. I'm not sure yet, Jim, but I will get back to you with an answer on that.
Well, okay. The reason why I asked Shame is, I mean, if you're having problems getting, parts for it, I mean, you're going to keep throwing money into the pit. I'd rather just sell it and get the money out of it and put it to something else in your public works that you guys need.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the intentions by all means. That's why we're getting a new forklift. So we don't dump money into that.
And I seen your old forklift, Shame, and I know how dangerous it is. I get it. It's an old forklift.
I mean, it still may be beneficial to another government entity or somebody else out there. And if it is, by all means, we'll pass it along. If we recoup some money for it, we will.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Shane. If there's any other questions on that, we'll move on to Mayor Pro Tem Guerra, and she had questions on item H, the check register.
Okay, page number 75. And question on check number 75912 for the Fresno County EDC High-Speed Rail Central Valley for $23,808.92. What is that for?
That is payment for our contracted services with the EDC for the training program. That is 2 months of invoicing.
Okay, so is that monthly, yearly?
I've asked them to bill me monthly, yes.
Okay.
Will they be billing every month for this, or how much is this going to cost the city?
Well, it's going to vary depending on time and materials purchased. A lot of the contracted materials are purchased by the city, so you'll see those expenses come through the Cal card. A lot of the labor components are going to come through the EDC, so that's going to be based on hours worked. So it should be pretty flat now that they're going into the class basis. So you'll see a lot more of those hours start to flow through. The invoices that you're seeing now are just really a lot of the prep work, getting the program and materials made, getting the outreach and stuff like that. So you will see the amounts actually increase. So we haven't seen that amount flatten out yet, but it's all reimbursed via the contract with the high-speed rail.
Hey,
Okay.
hey, Isaac, just a question real quick. Hey, did you
Yes.
give any thought to do like a quarterly billing so we could probably get some interest on the money?
I have not yet, but I will look into that. It really comes back to the high-speed rail. They want
Yeah.
to see that reporting come back.
Yeah.
I'm required as part of the contract manager to have a monthly meeting with them
Okay.
to touch base. So they really want to see that invoicing come through.
Cool. Okay.
I just
Trying to
didn't see
get
an
that
article.
extra dollar.
Yeah.
So then that should have an R next to it for reimbursement.
Yes and no. It's part of an actual contract. It's not a grant in the sense of the way or a reimbursement. It's really just a contracted item that we do. You can see it as a reimbursement, and I kind of considered that both ways.
Mhm.
But I really see it as a contract, not a grant. So, but it is reimbursable. That is correct. It is fully reimbursable.
Okay. Then my next, page 76, I can't tell what check that, I think it's 75948, Quad Knox on-call planning service. And it's for 15,668.70. What's that for?
That's our monthly QK contract for
Okay.
planning services.
Okay.
I have a question on that one, Isaac.
Sure.
On that amount, is that the base amount? Or is that?
It is an hourly contract. It's not a
Structure's
base
hourly?
amount. So as she works on projects and goes through, that's how they bill us.
Okay, the next question, are they working longer? Let me ask you that question.
I know they have
So
started
we
now
have
come
projects
back
on the
into
line. I just want to ask that question.
So they do have a lot of projects coming through the pipeline. They are working a lot. We have seen a steady flow of work coming through them. As you saw from the last presentation, when we put the spreadsheet together, there are quite a few projects that are in the pipeline and going through. So yes, they are working more. This is pretty average for their contracts. It's 15,000. You can see it within the range about 15 to 18,000 monthly.
Okay.
But I will say they're
Okay.
actually starting to come back to City Hall now. So they're starting to pick up a little more hours now too as well.
The reason why I'm asking you that, Isaac, a lot of times, they work at a certain hour. Let's say the developer has a meeting at, let's say 3 o'clock from 3 to 4,
Mhm.
and they have to go home at 3 or whatever. Does she come back and stay or make that appointment, or how's that work for you guys?
They are available
available on as needed. So if we have a meeting
just
at
wanna
3
make sure they're
o'clock,
needed.
they can call in, or they can, now that we're able to come back into the office a little bit more, that's fine too, but they're available as needed.
Because I want, the reason why I say that, we have stuff on the pipe, but that's part of our being business friendly to provide that service, and that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, she's
But
very
I don't mind
available.
paying I don't mind paying it. It's just, I want to make sure I get bang for my buck, for the city.
So the way they process communication when they're not sitting in the seat, obviously they have a city email, planning@cityofselma.com. If she is not able to review those emails on a timely basis, she'll actually send it to somebody else and they'll review and reply to those emails, or they'll just schedule something as far as appointments as well. So they're readily trying to get back to individuals as soon as possible.
Okay.
I think what we're trying to get at, Isaac, is we just don't want to lose opportunity. We want to be flexible and available.
Mhm.
So.
Yeah, I
okay.
will say that Kira's made herself very flexible.
Okay.
And she's very responsive from either a developer standpoint as well as city staff. I
Right.
know I've communicated her with a text, whether it's an email or call
Mhm.
her, and she's always been very open to getting stuff done. And working
So,
with-
so Isaac, do you have a matrix to go with what our cost breakdown comes out to be per month versus Zizur?
What I do have is basically the way QK does, they have a general services, which is communication, working with staff, but on their invoices, they actually break down each project and the project costs.
Nice.
So because we actually have a deposit base for majority of our planning services, so we can actually drill down into projects as they go through and see that cost factor.
Cool. Okay.
Okay. And then I have one more, check number 75956. That's Stryker Sales Corp. Power load gurney for $24,931.29. What was that for?
It's a new gurney for the ambulance.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, I think that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have two, page 76, check number 75951, revenue cost specialists. Prepare cost allocation plan 8,000.
That's our user fee study.
Okay. That's just the first set part of that.
They're billing in increments.
Okay.
If I want to remember it correctly, it was like 20,000 for the total contract or something like that.
Right. I remember when we approved that. And then the 75963 T-Mobile USA law enforcement ping. What does that mean?
So PD is actually utilizes a service with T-Mobile where they're able to track a cell phone, so they have to actually pay for that service.
Hmm.
And it's on a need basis. It's not a monthly subscription or anything like that.
So they charge the city for pinging, even when it's life-saving. It's still a revenue item for them, for the phone company. When you ping their cell phone.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, we're good.
Any more questions, guys?
I think we're good.
Okay, if we have no more questions, then I'll take a
I'll make a
motion
motion.
for item
second
D. Okay. Joe, Jim, your motion.
I'll make a motion for D and H.
And I'll second it.
All right, thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Avalos,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra,
Aye.
Councilmember Trujillo,
Aye.
Councilmember Robertson,
Yes.
Mayor Franco.
Yes. Okay, we have no public hearing scheduled, so we'll move on to item 2, regular business. Consideration of a resolution approving an agreement with Veneer Construction Management, Inc. for a project management of the Rockwell Park project. Mr. Kirschner.
Mayor Franco, members of the City Council. This is part of our grant we recently received from Proposition 68. A little background, 1985, we received a land water conservation fund for Schaefer Park, and the last park completed was in 1989. So approximately took about 4 years through that grant. Just a quick update. We are in the process of finalizing purchasing of the property with Fresno County, and our city attorney has been in contact with me just this last week, getting the paperwork to the county. We have received an appraisal report, And right now, phase 1 is presently happening. Next page, please. Going to do a little bit of adjusting on the screen. There we go. We went out for requests for proposals. We had 5 RFPs received back from 5 firms. City Manager Teresa Gallivan, Assistant City Manager Isaac Moreno, and myself interviewed 3 firms based on the RFP experience and references. And from the interviews, we were recommending Veneer Construction Management. Next page, please. Part of the management would be, and this is a very tentative timeline. I don't want this to be, it's set in stone. This is kind of just gives you an idea of the timeline for the grant. Obviously, there's going to be some variables, weather, our soil evaluations will need to be done. All kinds of different things can occur. Unfortunately, I talked about COVID-19, part 2. Just so you know, pre-design phase infrastructure would begin in October of 2020. The design phase would be beginning in January of 2021. The bid and award phase would begin in February of 2022. The construction phase would begin in May of 2022, and the park estimated completion would be June of 2023. And the grant does require us to be completed by March of 2024. The grant itself ends in June of 2024. We have to have everything completed by March so that they have a month to basically evaluate everything that was completed. And this would allow for some time for that unexpected delays that could occur. We're not trying to complete this project, April of 2024. We want to have it done earlier just in case those variables do occur.
Okay. What was the completion date, Mike?
Well, the estimated right now, what we'd like to think it'd be June of 2023.
Okay.
And that gives us some flexibility for those variables, only because we can't always predict life. The park management funding, park development fund currently, and there was a typo, I mistaken on the staff report. We left out the 5, so I think on your staff report, you would see 66241.32. So it should read 66241.5.32. I apologize. I noticed that today. So there is funds available for this park management. $488,040 would be what it would cost for the service. The grant, just a reminder, the grant awarded us $4,416,000. We just sent off our revised contract, just to let you know. We had to revise our contract because the state did extend this grant for 2 years, mainly because of COVID, and the state had fallen behind. So when council approved this, it had shown June of 2022, but they were realizing that cities were going to have a difficult time to get these projects done in 2 years. So just an FYI, that was extended for 2 years. That's the only difference in the contract. Okay. Veneer experiences, they have a lot. They've done, I've noticed in Hayward, California, they've done projects in Colorado, they've done projects in New Orleans, trails, more than one, Arizona. I've noticed in the references, they've had cities use them more than once, which to me is a good sign because if you use them more than once. They've had every experience in the type of amenities that we're required to have in a park. We've noticed in their packet that they've helped design or been part of that project, which helps. They've done work for Kings County, City of Corcoran, Tulare County, San Bernardino County in our area, just so you know, there's some locals, and we've made contact with a few of them too. Currently, they are contracted for services under the Selma Police Department. And their services amount is locked in. And one thing is nice, if they do come in under budget based on their estimated time, then the city is not charged. We're not going to be charged guaranteed $49.40. So if they can do in less time, we will get the difference back to the city. So it could be a slight potential savings there. The contract itself would begin immediately. We begin working. Infrastructure, they have the ability to also help us with infrastructure from where the points, for example, water, sewer, power end at one point. They can also assist us to the property line of the park, in addition to helping the infrastructure from the property line into the park. we talked about that before. The grant will not pay for infrastructure until it gets to the property line. That's just the way the state parks grant. So your infrastructure grant will help us from the park property line into the park. But veneer can help us in the beginning stages also. Obviously help with the pre-design and all the way from design to construction. They would be on board from the beginning of this project to the end, which would be very important. So we're not midstream trying to hire a firm. I think it's important when you have the same firm on board with their experience. And this grant, I would love to say we have the ability and staff time and number of staff members to do this, but this would require a great amount of time, supervision, development of bids, meetings, planning. Current city staff and contracted services just wouldn't have the ability to see this through, especially when my day-to-day job and our public works director would monitor this, but we would not have the ability to just monitor this on a day-to-day basis and then just do all the paperwork, everything needed. And they would also provide additional assistance with collaboration. We'd hope we could have a collaboration with all the future developments near Rockwell Pond to where the project itself and our park blends in with any development that occurs there. So that kind of sums up the report for questions and council may have.
I have a comment.
Sure.
I think we're putting the cart before the horse here with this hiring of this project manager to just take over the park for the city. I don't know why we'd hire a project manager when we don't even have a concept yet. You know, we need, in my opinion, we need a concept of what this park is going to look like, and we need the design of what the park's going to look like. We're getting ready to hire somebody to be the designer right now for land that we haven't even bought yet. And I know it's in the process, it's in phase 1, but I think we're starting at point C and we need to be starting at point A. I remember when we had our council meeting when the developer of Selma Grove, which is going to be abutting the new park, it's going to be right there in front of the park, Cliff Titellian, Selma Grove. And we approved an MOU for Cliff Titellian and his group, the developer there, to come up with a plan and to show that to council based on a concept that he could work out with the city. To my knowledge, the city hasn't even made any contact with the Selma Grove development. And now we're going on our own and hiring this other project manager, and we haven't even consulted the developer that council directed our administration to do before we move forward on this park. So I think before we go forward with this, and I'm not saying this is a bad move, I'm just saying it's premature. I think we need to get some input from our developers, Selma Grove, that's going to be right there and is going to work very closely reflecting the park. We need to get that input first before we move forward with this. Right? Because staff doesn't have that plan, right? We don't have the design from Selma Grove?
I can.
Is that a yes or no? We don't have the plan from Selma Grove,
but
correct?
I give you the background if you like the background.
You go ahead, Mike.
The MOU was approved on May 6th of 2019. The MOU requested he has 6 months to provide us a plan. So that 6 months had come and gone. City staff, city manager, and I, and city attorney actually met with Cliff in February of this year and extended that, allowing him a few more months to get us to us. So we had contact after that deadline, and we still have not received any type of a plan after the second opportunity. We've also told him that if he needed time, give us time, we'd work with him. So we're willing to meet with him again. But I do want you to know we did follow through with the first MOU. The time had expired. We did meet with him following about 3 months after that extension, not the extension, but the deadline, and provide him a second opportunity to submit a plan. And to date, from February to this date, we have not received anything from the second opportunity.
So this is the first I'm hearing of that. So the essence here
Well, you
is
know what, Scott?
communication. So we know that we're on the same page here. So we know what we're looking at too, because we've been expecting a plan for a while and we haven't seen one.
Yeah, and he did go to the community forums. They went to one at Pioneer Village when we had to do the forums before this grant. So he did attend one of those also, because I know Councilman Avalos was there the same time he was there.
You know what, Scott, I think okay, what we should do is honestly, we should table it until we get a hold of the other side, because it's going to be a joint effort, right? I understand. Am I correct, Mike? On it, it's going to be a joint effort on this development.
Council, I think we need the direction about how we are willing to see how these things might have synergy. And I think
Yeah.
that's the direction
I'm-
you've given us. So we are open to that, and that can still come in as we go through this process. We're not hiring a designer tonight or recommending that at all. That is definitely several months out. So there is time for us to still meet with the developer about the adjacent property and discuss any synergy that we can come up with. Absolutely. This is a project management firm that can help us come up with figuring out how to get infrastructure to the property, the park property, help us come up with a reasonable overall budget beyond the park amenities. We still have to work through the process of getting all the utilities to the property. We still have to go through a geotechnical study that they would oversee all before we get through the design. And we do have quite a bit of time dedicated to when we get to design, to making sure the community, developers, adjacent properties, we can have that input. And we certainly are open to continuing those discussions.
I mean,
If I could mention, Council Robertson, we are required to do design, even though our amenities are preset from the grant, we are required to have more community farms for design from the community, like the one Gio attended also.
So I'm just seeing on page 92, we're going to be locking in a firm that is going to be assisting the city with the design phase, right? It's a pre-design and the design. So what I want to make sure we're not doing is skipping that step of consulting with the developer the city has an MOU with to see what that concept might be, so that Vanier or whoever the city refers and the city council votes on can look at that and see that and plan accordingly. I think it's an important part of the process.
Scott,
I think it would be very important, because to have access from the development to the park is key, especially as parents. When your kids are over there playing, if we can get them access to that development, that's, I mean, you guys know how kids are.
I
When they're
know.
hungry and they want something.
Well, yeah.
I know exactly how badly this community wants a park, Mike.
Well, you know
I
what?
mean, they've been talking to me
Yeah.
for weeks
Hey,
and
yeah,
weeks
Mike,
about how they want that
Teresa?
first park since 1989.
Yeah, I'm so, I apologize. I have passion for this too. It's one thing I've always wanted for Selma. So I appreciate your question. So don't take it wrong way.
I don't.
Yeah, good.
We're working through it. That's
Yeah.
what we're doing. That's why we're
Appreciate
here
it.
tonight, and we're communicating.
Yeah,
on this.
thank you.
That's big.
No, and Mike, we all want the park. It's not about all the councilmen. We all want it. We want it very badly. But at the same time, we want the developer on this partnership to be a partner. You know, I mean, and I want, I mean, if he's going to develop, we're going to have some development there. And I want these stakeholders, be at the table. Honestly, that's the best way. Like we're doing it right now. We're at the table here right now discussing. And I think we got to reach out to this individual right away and get some kind of feedback design right away so we can move on with this thing.
So I mean, based on the feedback, I think if this was to occur, we definitely would want to set up a meeting with the developer and Veneer.
I mean,
And make sure we invite the developer to the community farms
I think
after let them meet with us and schedule some
Yeah.
ideas.
there you go.
But I want to make sure I invite the developer to the community farms as we did in the past too.
Absolutely. I think it's really important
yeah.
because business and the city should go hand in hand. We really need both. And, especially on this project where we have both a business development there and we have a park, the two can work really well together along with that hotel and the other amenities. That are
Yeah,
coming
I
with it.
think each one's going to feed off the other.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're right.
It's a win-win.
I've said this to you before. It's minor, but Circle K knows when there's activities at Schaefer.
Well, Scott,
Their business goes
Yes.
way up that weekend.
we could table this issue.
Until they meet with
So
the
we do.
developer and
Like you
Vanier.
said, we table it until they get.
Well, I have a question. Can I ask?
Go ahead, Sarah.
I just want to, okay, you mentioned about the contract or the purchase of the land. So what's the time frame? If we're in the process of purchasing that land, give or take, what are we looking at, Neil?
You'll have it purchased relatively soon, probably before the end of the month.
Of this month,
Okay.
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a good timeline.
On my birthday?
hopefully on your birthday. And part of the reason for hiring Benair at this point is to assist us in evaluating the designs, including Cliff Titelian's proposals for creating some synergy between the park and the Selma Grove development. He can show those plans to us here at the city, but we don't have the expertise to say this is a good plan or this is a workable plan. We can't even tell if it's feasible.
Doable, huh?
And that's what this guy is supposed to help us with, in addition to evaluating the design professionals that we're going to bring on board and the designs they're proposing to make sure that they coincide with what we want.
Well, we don't have to hire Vanier tonight for Vanier to meet with
No,
Titelian
no,
in the
you
city,
don't.
right? I mean, Vanier's already on one project for the city, so maybe they can meet with the city, all three parties, and talk about what's going on, and get a concept of what their design is, and then interface with Vanier and get their input on it, and come back to the council with that. That's going to take a little time. How long do you imagine that would take to have that meeting and then conceptualize and then come back?
I think we can have a discussion with those parties. I don't know that the concepts would be ready. I think we want to make sure everybody's comfortable with the fact that we can work together, and we're
Concepts don't have to be
That's
ready,
right.
but at
Business
least
friendly.
the
Yeah.
synergy.
Business friendly.
Yeah,
we're
I think
talking
we
about.
I
can
agree
make
there.
those introductions.
I just think it's important to get a large commercial development that's going to be there, to get them at the table and get their input.
And we did, when we went through this process, we did our final interviews with the top firms. We did have discussions with them about the fact that the properties adjoining, that there's a development project there, and we would be looking for opportunities, if there are, to bring that synergy and efficiency between projects as we look to put in infrastructure, as we look to make better amenities for our community. So they were briefed on that.
Teresa, let me ask you, Precision Civil Engineering comes in much lower. I mean, you're talking 282,000 lower. Have you ever worked with them? Has the city ever worked with Precision,
In engineering.
Talking about
the civil engineering?
We actually did have one contract in with them at one point. It was for the remodel station. They were the project manager for that project. I will say for the project they had at that point, there was a lot of lack of communication. The actual individual that was identified as our project manager for that firm was no longer even there. Nobody reached out to us. Nobody communicated us until the fire chief actually reached out to them and said, hey, the project's gone at this point, finalize your billing so we can move forward. So we do have some experience with them, although very slight, but that was the feedback that we got.
Okay. What about CPM, California Professional Management?
No, we haven't used them at all.
We did go through a competitive process, though, a scoring committee process, and interviews and checking references. And we found that the top two, we interviewed the top three, which was CPS, Vanier, and Griffith. And of those, Vanier came out the strongest. CPS, while it was a little less in cost, there was some differences in experience that we thought were very substantial.
But I think, like you said,
The CPM would be, the difference for me would have been the lack of parks, development of the park.
Well, Precision, if you go on their website, they have 4 parks that they worked on. I mean, I
think
did
there
my
was
research.
There was also some concerns of if they're so different in cost, that overruns sometimes are the way they catch up on those costs. And that's not the way we want to do a project.
Have they done that in the past when you did your homework on them?
I defer to the team.
No, I haven't seen that from them. Again, we kind of go back to the past experience with them. It's not just that, it's the way you actually writing your proposal, right? Do you have a schedule on how you're going to fix this scope going all the way through? It just, their data in there and how they were going to propose getting us through these benchmarks was really thin and light.
I have a question. Jim, the first question is to Jim. You want to table this to how long? Are we looking at one meeting or a couple of meetings or?
No, the reason why I want to table this until these, the two parties get together.
Okay, so maybe one meeting or two meetings.
That way, when they get together, they bring it back to us, the staff and everything. See, I want them, it's like, Johnny, it's like when you do business, you like to meet the person that you're doing business with. Am I correct?
So we're looking at a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, if I can get it done in a couple of weeks,
Yeah.
Okay.
hey, I'm okay with it.
As long as they, just to have that
As
meeting.
long as they're,
My next question is to this MOU. Am I hearing correctly that the MOU expired and it's back up or it's still on?
So, there is no MOU anymore.
The MOU expired.
Okay,
There
but
is no
still,
MOU.
okay, so we're just working with a developer to make sure that it can all entice together. Okay, that's good. I just want to let you guys know that the professional development build a park in Visalia. So you guys do a little research, you'll see the park has about 6 soccer fields and 3 baseball fields. You'll see that they did a good job, but I'm not
John?
knocking. I think the company we're doing, Veneer, is a good company. I'm not, but I don't want to say. What I'd like to see more of is if we are going to table this, if we could come back with maybe getting Veneer to give us maybe a couple of proposals as to what they've done before and what they think with the square footage or the amount of acres we have, what their just a real quick plan is, so we could kind of get a visual of what maybe they're thinking in their mind, because they are the one that's going to bring a concept to us, and then by that time because then it will be able to say, and then the developer will be able to say, give a little input so we can just push it along a little faster. You know what I mean? Instead of just talking, because right now all 5 of us are saying, hey, we can't see nothing, and Veneer has done a couple of out-of-state projects. I just worry about the fact that they haven't done one so close to here. California is a different breed of an animal. I would have preferred to have someone that has done something in the valley because of the heat and, but Veneer's a good company. I'm very respectful. So, but those are my questions and all my concerns.
So one comment I do have to that is we're bringing on, they are the project manager, right? They'll take us all the way through help with things of that nature. But they're not the designer. We'll actually have to put out an RFP for somebody to physically, an architect, to design the project. Now
So
they
they
will
have-
work with that art. Sorry, go ahead.
Isaac, they have a couple, they've already, if they've done a couple of projects, they've seen a couple of, they have, I'm not saying to create one.
You're not saying a full blown, I get that, yeah.
No, just because they don't give a council a concept, because that's where we're actually right now looking at each other saying, what's the concept, right? And if we could get some, even if you guys could do a little bit of groundwork and bring something together so we could actually
Just
talk
a
about
rough
it.
sketch would be fine.
Yeah, we do have Roy on the line. Maybe he can assist in answering that question, what is feasible. Roy, can we unmute
Mike's
you?
already got a concept already.
Yeah,
Mike,
but don't
you, Mike?
forget, you got to meet with the developer.
Yes.
You need to meet.
Yes.
This isn't a vacuum for Veneer just to say, here's
Yeah.
what you're going to do. It needs to incorporate all 3 parties. You need to at least get their input.
There.
Okay.
So, okay, guys, Joe, hold on, John. I need to open it to the public before we make our decision on the table or to move forward. So at this time, City Clerk, is there anybody wishing to comment on the item number 2 on the agenda?
Mayor Franco, we have no callers on the line and we have no emails at this time.
Okay, so with that, I will close public comment and then bring it back to council for our decision on what to do forward. I just want to make a quick comment. I think it's important that we all work together and we all work with our developers and stuff, but I think we've got to keep in mind also that we want this park and that development, we do want them to complement each other, but we got to keep in mind that they are 2 separate projects. So we have to make sure that we have a 4 years goes by quick. We all know that. So we got to make sure that we work together and we keep this timeline going. So the last thing we want to do is being pressed for the deadline to complete this part. It takes a lot of work, takes a lot of planning, but we can do it. We can do it with teamwork. But keep in mind, we do want to involve Cliff Intelligence Group. Absolutely, we do want to complement their projects, but it is a city park for the community of Selma that we got to make sure that we follow the timeline and get it done. So with that, I believe you guys want to table this?
But make sure we get
Yes.
everybody together.
Okay. Do we need a vote on this, Neil, or can we just say table it for?
With the consent?
Till the meeting, till after the meeting.
You can table it for the next meeting by consent.
No, we'll table it till they have their meeting and they're done and they inform us that they've had it. Is that the
Yeah.
same
So
thing?
you're basically directing staff to conduct a meeting with the Selma Groves representatives and to obtain from Benair its rough concept for the park.
And I just spoke to our text Roy, who is again on the line, but he can put together a draft plan for you guys.
Because the worst thing for a project of this scale is to get into it 6-12 months and then realize, oh, maybe we want to change course now because we didn't consult one aspect of the design for the job. So I think it's important to do it now, incorporate it now, talk to everyone now, especially.
Okay.
Just making sure everybody's on the same page.
Right.
That's all we want. We just don't want to do and take steps forward when we
Yeah.
miss two
Start on
steps.
C instead of
And
A.
then it costs the city or taxpayers more money. I mean, we've mentioned that before. We've made, some mistakes and we just don't want to see that happen. So
Want
I
this
think
project
that's all
correct.
we're asking.
Okay, Teresa, you got understanding that? Can you bring this to the next meeting after you met with the parties involved?
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council.
Okay,
We have direction.
All right. Okay, with that, we will move on to regular agenda item number 3. Consideration of a professional service agreement with Gateway Engineering Incorporated by the City Engineering Services. Mr. Moreno?
Thank you, Mayor and council members. The item we have in front of you is a professional service agreement for Gateway Engineering for a term of 3 years. Our current contract with Gateway Engineering for engineering services has come to term. It expires at the end of last fiscal. To create a competitive process on May 22nd, 2020, the city executed an RFP process. This process consisted of a scoring panel, reference checks, financial analysis, and a formal panel interview. To assist with this process, there was 3 internal panel members, myself, the city manager, and the public works director, as well as an outside panelist, the public works director for the city of Sanger. The organizations that submitted for this overall proposal were Gateway Engineering, QK, Precision Engineering, and Goviva Engineering. I did kick it out to at least 8 different total firms, but these were the 4 that we actually received. The top 2 scoring organizations, Gateway and QK, proceeded to the final panel interview with a consensus of all 4 panel members to continue services with our current provider. So some of the advantages we felt of going through this process and continuing service with our current provider, it allows continuity between capital improvement projects as well as working with developers and current projects. So what does that mean? It means we don't skip a beat, right? When development's coming through, we're already working through them. Again, when you refer back to the spreadsheet, you can see that there's follow-up communication. When you have another provider, as far as, and you saw it with planning, right? When you have somebody else come in, there's always that where you guys get refreshed, relearn the projects, and continue to move forward. At the same time, try to take in new projects. So you will start to see delays until they get caught up. But it is a connectivity between the projects and moving along so that you have that communication already there. You're not relearning the project or reassessing, and even with a developer or with capital improvement projects, right? So you don't have to come back and look at the plans, dust them off, and say what they look like. You did the plans, you know what the plans are, you can continue to move forward. A large part of that too that comes back into it is Gateway currently has been with the city as a city. So So that historical data is there, right? What did this project do? What did they approve, and why did they approve it? What are some of those conditions? That's a lot of things that you miss when you start doing again. Obviously, you'll get caught up and you can do some research, but again, that goes back to having to do research, having to come back and say, okay, what do we do again? That'll create lags within projects too, to make sure that what we're assessing is what we did in the future and what we continue to do, or what we've done in the past and what we continue to do in the future. Okay, so some of the comments for this current contract that we have, we do have a term of 3 years. For the financial analysis, we will be providing the same service. So from 8 to noon, Monday through Friday, they will be available in City Hall. The financial analysis did stipulate that between Gateway and the closest competitor, QK, you had a financial savings of roughly about 32,000. Okay, they will be tiering their overall contract for their day-to-day base services from 1 year, 2, and 3. There'll be increments of $5 increments for their base rate. So they do have a full rate schedule, and that rate schedule can vary looking out. So their day-to-day versus what their other activities are. Okay. So one of the other items that are in here, this contract, which was in their previous contracts, was a first right refusal. So what does that mean? If you look at what the other proposals are coming in at, look at Gateway's base rates. Obviously, you can see their base rate is 170 versus the 125 that they're coming in for the first year. What that does is allow them to pick up some of that cost with the other projects they'll be doing, whether it's a street project or some other capital improvement project, at a rate that is actually comparable to the other services. So what does that mean? So let's say we went with another contractor that had a base rate that was still high. Their standard rate is always their standard rate, regardless of what it is. Let's say, for example, it's 150, right? So their day-to-day activity is 150 and their capital improvement is 150 as well. That you're not having any initial savings. I mean, you're carrying those costs back and forth. Also, what you see is you'll see a reduction of costs within the general fund. So you'll have initial savings within your general fund because they are giving you a lower base rate for their day-to-day activities. Okay. Again, this really does go back to some of the general fund savings that you will because of the initial base rate decrease. As well, you can allow projects to move forward a lot faster. There has been conversations with Gateway saying, okay, look, this is where we're at now. We understand that we see potential for growth within our city. We are now busy as far as projects going and things of that nature. But if we get busier, can you manage that load? And they have assured us that they have the staff and they are actually increasing staff to make sure that they can maintain the level of services that we currently have. So at this time, if I'd open up to you any questions.
All right. Hey, Isaac, I have a few comments. One, I don't understand why the panelists for this group didn't include, why didn't we include any planners or any other, it was just basically our city staff and the public works guy. How come we didn't get any other people with planning experience to be on the panel? That's one thing I have.
You mean engineering background? Well, the public works director from Sanger actually manages the department for engineering in Sanger. That's why we brought him in.
Okay.
So he does have experience overseeing engineering.
Okay, and then my other concern is I just don't like this first right of refusal written in their contract. I think it closed the door for us expediting things by getting other firms in if needed in a pinch. And quite honestly, I had concerns or comments about the type of service we're getting from them when they're dealing with other agencies on our behalf. So I do understand it's comfortable to go with them, but I really don't think that they should have a first right of refusal just because they've been here for a while. Those are just my comments.
So let me speak to your first comment, right? As far as timeliness and getting things through. So if we didn't have a first right of refusal, you'd be seeing staff put out RFPs for every single little project that came through. So you're actually saving yourself a month of having to go back and get those things done. One thing that's actually written to the contract as well is you see me constantly bring in gateways contracts just for every little project, right? So we can actually execute that at the city staff level, at the city manager's level, and get those projects even done faster, right? So you're saving yourself time by eliminating that simple process and eliminating the process of going out for every single project.
Mhm.
Any other comments from council before I open up to the public?
Yeah, the comment, Isaac, I understand what you're saying.
Mhm.
Bottom line, this is the experienced team. We have a lot of stuff on the pike right now, and we have to streamline it. And Gateway seems to be the operational guys right now. Because they know the projects very well, backwards, inside and out. Because we have the Golden State and Nebraska projects, and also
Overpass.
the G.A. Gardner operation over there. We're also looking at Raven Hotel, possibly T.J. Titilian project.
Downtown improvement.
So these guys, they got the savvy in the game right now. They have a lot of knowledge right now. I think it'd be premature to do something like this. I was my gut instinct says, hey, these guys are the guys, man. Let's go.
I would add to that. I would echo that and also say, in the past, we've had a lot of turnover in our city hall, our administration, because of retirements. A lot of people have just been here a while and they've gone, like the planner. And we've heard over and over when we get a new person in, darn it, they don't have that institutional knowledge. And it just, through no fault of their own, they're just new and they just don't have the lay of the land yet. They don't have that experience, which, Gateway does have. They have, 8 years of experience with the city, and they have that institutional knowledge. And as Councilman Avalo says, we have a number of projects in the pipeline. It would be probably putting our city backwards, if a new engineer came in and had to kind of relearn the previous projects that the city had and what the city has in the pipeline. So I think for continuity's sake, as well as what I see in the contract with up to 20 hours a week here, and finally the savings and cost of not having the employment, having the workers' comp or the health insurance or the benefits, and the liability, it's a savings on that piece, the payroll piece as well, the employment practices piece as well.
If there's no other comments, I'm going to open it up to the public. City Clerk, do we have anybody wishing to comment on this agenda item?
Hi, caller ending in 664. Your line is unmuted. Do you have any comments for council regarding this agenda item? Caller ending in 664. Your line is unmuted. Do you have any comments for council regarding this agenda item? Hi, your line is unmuted. Did you have any comments for council? It doesn't appear that we have any emails at this time. It looks like our caller ending in 664 does not have any comments for council.
No, I do.
Just please go ahead.
Hi, may you state your name for the record?
Can you hear me? Hello?
We can hear you perfectly fine. Can you state
Thank
your
you.
name?
Certainly. Victoria Jean Delgadillo. And the comments that I had was that I looked over these documents and it took me hours and hours. I didn't even finish looking and reading the myriad of documents that go with Gateway. And I was flabbergasted that they would receive, or that the public would receive these documents so quickly to the time of a meeting. I do not believe that there is even sufficient time to review the myriad of documents that are going into this project. It took me hours and hours to go through the terminology, to go through understanding and extrapolating all of this information. I feel, just as a citizen with a minimum education background in planning and in engineering and other factors, I do not have the experience to understand a lot of the reports that were prepared. And it would be wonderful if the city staff or whomever the authors were of all of these reports that were compiled would give a thorough presentation and educate the public, because myself, as a public person, I want to understand and I want to know exactly what these reports all mean. And I cannot do that with my minimal education and experience. And mind you, I'm an educator. So I myself feel like there just hasn't been enough time for review of all of these documents thoroughly and to do justice to even considering making any type of decisions on a project this large, because it is a huge, huge project. Hello?
Yes, well, thank you
Is
for your
anyone
comments.
there? Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. Thank you.
I thank you. All right, with that, is there any more callers?
I do not see we have any further callers on the line at this moment.
And no emails on this subject?
That's correct. We have no emails either.
Okay, with that, I'll return it back to council for direction. And unless you have any more comment or anything?
I'll make a motion to, on the Gateway.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Just to confirm, the motion on the second on the table is a motion to approve staff's recommendation. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. Councilmember Avalos?
Yes.
Councilmember Robertson?
Yes.
Councilmember Trujillo?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra?
Yes.
Mayor Franco?
No. All right, item number 4. Consideration of the direction of the city's position on the league's resolution to amend section 230 of the Decency Act of 1996. City Manager Gallivan?
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. This Friday, this week is the League of Cities annual conference, and on Friday there is the meeting in which mayors and delegates go and vote on resolutions before the league. We've talked about this item and this resolution regarding the Communications Decency Act and an amendment to it requiring social media companies to remove materials which promote criminal activities. The Policy Advisory Committee met and they approved moving this forward to the league, but they approved that on a vote of 19 to 18. So that was the remaining information that we were going to provide to you so you could finalize your discussions and provide direction to the delegates that will be voting this Friday. Thank you.
Okay. What do you guys want to do?
This is a huge issue, and I'm glad we've taken our time and deliberated on it. But you told the city manager what I think I needed to hear, which is there is a lot of opposition to this at the planning committee, and it just passed. There were only 5 letters of support. Again, this is an issue of potential censorship, and I just don't think we should be advocating for that in our city council. And so that's I think I'm ready to cast my vote, even though I am all for law enforcement being able to get subpoenas and to get anything from social media sites when crimes have been committed, unless that social media medium actually encourages the crime and participates in it. I don't see how you can hold them criminally or vicariously liable for such acts.
Well, right back that item was brought up with within the Congress right now. They're discussing that particular issue.
They do too.
The particular issue. I think it's going to go to, well, down the road, it's going to go to them. The Senate, it's going to go to the Senate. It's going to the House. And I think whatever we say and do, it falls on them. Bottom line. They're going to hear both sides, So I don't know what, whatever direction you guys wish to go,
We got three things we can do, guys. We can abstain, we can oppose, or we can go in favor.
I would say sustain.
Sustain, me too.
Sustain. That'd be the best way until the House and the Senate figure this out themselves. It's going to fall on them. Trust me.
I'm fine with that.
Yep.
I either oppose or abstain, but if we
That
abstain,
way we
we're
don't.
waiting for the
We're not offending
Congress to
anybody, but we're
move forward and give
being
us some guidance.
being cautious.
Yeah, but this is just a really tough look
I
at
know,
the
it's- it-
1918
it's-
vote. There's really no clear-cut decision on
Yeah,
this, in my
you're
opinion.
talking about human rights and stuff. It's really kind of a.
Yeah. There are lots of
But-
factors involved. I'd be good with abstaining.
Yeah.
In fact,
So-
I'd make a motion to abstain.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, but before we can vote, I need to open up to the public.
It looks like we just have one caller on the line and we have no emails. Caller ending in 664, do you have any comments for council regarding this agenda item? Hi, caller ending in 664. Do you have any comments for council regarding this agenda item?
I think we've gone into it so abruptly and we haven't even gave a synopsis of what it was we are discussing. I, being from the public, feel like we need to have a little synopsis of what it is we are actually doing, Mayor. So if you could please elaborate and tell us exactly what it is that you are trying to convey.
Is that all the comments you have?
Yes, sir. I'm waiting for you to give a synopsis, please.
Well, we'll do that for you. It's something that we've been discussing this is actually our third time discussing it. That's why it seems like we're going over quickly, but we actually discussed it in great details over the past two meetings. But basically, I'll have my city manager break it down.
If I may please interject, sir.
No, we're going to give you a synopsis right now. No.
Sir.
Teresa, could you give her a synopsis of this? Hold on, Vicky. We're going to get it for you right now.
Thank you.
So every year, a delegate from each city goes to the League of Cities conference and they vote on resolutions that they will be taking up and moving through legislation and as proposed legislation. This year's resolution for consideration is amendment to Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. And the amendment would require social media companies to remove materials which promote criminal activities. The city of Cerritos has brought this forward because they had social media platforms were being used as a way to encourage or inform the community about looting opportunities perhaps in their community. So they brought this forward and discussed it at the advisory committee for the league. And it's an item that has a considerable discussion, again, as the mayor said, with the city council and at the league. And there is much greater detail that has been discussed that is also available in the staff report online. But that's a synopsis.
Thank you. And what is your opinion on this, city manager? Because you are the person who will be attending, correct? Hello?
No.
Mr. Mayor,
no.
did you want me to?
Yeah.
Hello?
Well, she directed you the question. Vicky, I will be, it's a virtual meeting and I will be attending virtually to vote on the city of Selma's decision. But what I vote is what we as a council decide as a group is our decision. And that's what we're discussing right now.
So again, I wanted to reiterate to our city manager, what is your opinion on this matter, Miss Gayavan, I'm sorry.
Members
Hello?
of council, hello. I just
Yeah.
wanted to share that as staff, we bring this to you with the league's information and analysis. It is a council decision. It is a legislative decision. So we have brought forward all of the analysis that the League of Cities staff provide. Thank you.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Vicky. Your time has expired, so we're going to bring it back to council. All right. So we had a motion and a second. If there's any other more discussions, I'm going to ask for, no further discussions. I'm going to ask for roll call, please.
No.
Councilmember Robertson,
Yes.
Councilmember Trujillo,
Yes.
Councilmember Avalos,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra,
Yes.
Mayor Franco.
Yes. Okay. With that, we are moving on to our departmental reports and we'll start with our city manager.
Thank you, Mayor Council. I would like to thank Isaac Moreno for his tireless work on the Central Valley Training Center project and congratulate him as today the center opened and started training students. So congratulations to all partners involved, to the city of Selma and the region for getting this workforce development training center going. Thank you. I also want to give you an update on the downtown overlay project. The team is working on more community outreach to get feedback regarding the boundaries of the overlay district and the benefits of that zone. Over the next couple of months through December, they will be conducting an online questionnaire and stakeholder phone interviews. The draft report to council, the target is to have that completed by the end of February. And then that can be included in our zoning ordinance update or go through its own adoption process, depending on the resources, the requirements of CEQA, and the timing of all of those pieces coming together. Another update would be on the Hampton Inn Hotel. Staff and the city attorney have been working with the developer on a proposal to phase frontage improvements on Floral. The development agreement was sent over to the developer on the 25th of September. And I believe that we were expecting comments today and the city attorney may have more information on that, but I think we were getting close to getting their comments. Also, the County CARES Act funding. Staff did receive information from the county late last week, and we will have a staff report on that on your next agenda regarding use of those funds, that next allocation. Also, 2 new businesses recently opened. The Chicken Shack had a soft opening last week, and Selma Pharmacy on High Street recently opened. So thank you.
Thank you, city manager. City attorney?
Just on the Farney development agreement, I expect to be contacted by their attorney tomorrow. And that's the word from Farney's who have hired that attorney.
All right, thank you. Okay, Assistant City Manager Moreno.
Thank you, Mayor. Just two items to update you on. The Nebraska project is actually going out to advertisement next week with the closing bid October 28th. So you will start to see that come back pretty quick here. To update you on your AB 74 State Water Board, that's the state appropriation for the 1.5 million. We got the contract back and approved last week. It is now being routed for signatures. City manager has already signed it. I have already sent it back out. So hopefully we can get that back soon, but it looks like we're almost at the finish line finally, and we are good to go. We already started incurring costs and design and things of that nature, so we're just gonna get reimbursed. So we didn't stop per se, but it did slow us down a little bit, but we will move that project forward very fast. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Public Works, Shane. You're muted, Shane.
Hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. First off, I want to thank you guys for the approval of our new lift. It will be beneficial to my department, our city. And I will keep you guys updated on the condition and the situation with the old lift. On a different topic, our street name signs that you guys see around town, which are the blue signs at the corner of our streets, which people use for direction. Code 3 uses it also for direction. I've got numerous valid complaints on these signs, and they're in disarray. They're in bad shape. We started addressing this probably a couple years back in-house. We're making them ourselves in our little sign shop there, one sticker at a time, one letter at a time. It's honestly, it's kind of, we've come to the conclusion that it's counterproductive to do it this way. So I had started gearing up and coming up with solutions, other options to address this issue prior to the budget this year, and the COVID and the situation we're in, I wasn't able to include it in my budget. I do plan to keep plugging away and find out a resolution for this, and I will include it in my upcoming budget. I just want you guys to be aware of that, and the citizens as well, because it's a very valid complaint, and they've been bad for too long. So I just wanted to touch on that real quick. And then lastly, we had a meeting at the Veterans Plaza with all involved in that project. You guys signed the MOU. We're all aboard. We took out a ginkgo tree that was lifting the footing over there last week. I've been talking with the mason, and we're going to start demo week after next. Public Works will be out there doing it. And I'm very excited and happy, and we're all aboard. So I look forward to the conclusion of this project. And that's all I have for you guys tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Shane.
Hey, Shane, can I just ask, excuse me, Mr. Mayor, Shane, how much will it take to put in the budget to fix all of the signs, do you think, for the city that need it?
It's going to take a substantial amount of money, Scott. I can't give you an accurate number right now off the top of my head. I mean, I got some notes and stuff in my office I can get back to you with, but there's different options, different ways of doing it, farming it out. I'm talking to the city of Reedley right now, the supervisor in streets over there. They do it in-house. They got a machine. There's different ways of going about it. The thing about purchasing a printing machine to do it in-house is that you don't do it every year. Once you get them done, you know, you're going to be good for a period of time. And well, there's different options. I will
it's
be
on your
coming back
radar,
to the
though. That
table.
sounds good.
I will be coming back to the table with those options in the future, and you guys give me direction on which way you want to go, and we'll get it done.
Thank you.
Okay. Right. Fire Chief.
Thank you, Mayor and members of council. I'm happy to announce that we were recently notified by Cal Water that we were awarded a $12,000 grant from them, which we will be using to purchase firefighting PPE. So we thank Cal Water for that. And we are still out working on fires. We've got 5 people out right now. They're all local. We have 4, 3 on the brush truck, and one of our paramedics working the Madera side, the Madera County side of the creek fire. And our fire marshal and his incident management team were activated. He left today, and they'll be working the Castle fire area, SQF complex. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. From one chief to another, Police Chief.
Am I on now? Can you hear me? Hear me now?
Hear you now. Yes, now we can hear
Hear
you.
me now? Okay. Speaking of fires, we are pulled out of the Creek Fire after 3 weeks, hundreds of hours committed there, and which is good because the officers are going on their time off, so there's not time for operations that we want to run. So we are done as of Friday, and the officers have come back. Also, we're going to assist Coalinga Police Department, City of Coalinga, on Friday, October 16th on a gang operation. They've had 28 shootings with people struck and buildings struck over the last month and a half, and 1 homicide in September, all gang related. So they have requested assistance, and we'll be sending 2 officers to work with them Friday, October 16th from 4 p.m. to midnight. So it's a good deal, knock on wood. We're not having that here in Selma, which we've had in the past. And just some time ago, 2007, 2009, I was a gang commander in Fresno PD. And I didn't know that that Selma had bulldogs. I thought bulldog gang members were only in Fresno, but I learned because we used to go to all the small towns. In the summer months, we used to do gang sweeps here in Reedley and Orange Cove and Parlier. And I learned that all of those cities have bulldog gang members. But I guess Magic does not do that anymore, do those sweeps. So I'd never heard of this where a city, one of the small cities, is requesting assistance, but we certainly can help them out and are going to do what we can to impact their gang problem. So that is all I have.
Thank you, Chief.
Mr. Mayor, if I may ask the police chief a follow-up question.
Sure.
Given that Coalinga is asking for help, and this may be, the start of other cities asking for help, might it make sense to look into sort of a South County gang task force in the future?
I think that's a great idea. Absolute great idea. And we have I was actually going to bring that up to them. We have a meeting with the South County chiefs once a month. It should be around that time, actually, when we have the gang operation. But yeah, that is a great idea.
When Fresno has its 40th homicide of the year, I mean, how long does it take before it gets here? You're doing a great job in keeping it out, but there's only so much, things happen. And, it'd be good to have that gang task force in the event that things move this way.
I totally agree. Have it in place in case it starts happening. And maybe it's not in Selma, but maybe Reedley picks up Parlier, and then we can do the sweeps as we did with Magic years ago.
So
I agree.
So Chief Gomez, you might want to reach out to the police chief and Fowler. In fact, I know that they're already doing it where they occasionally go to the small cities like Kingsburg, Parlier and stuff, and they all, one rotation, they'll go to your city, and then a few weeks later they go to another city. So I think they're doing that, and I think it's great that we become a part of it or remain a part of that. So keep up the good work, Chief.
I agree. Thank you.
Okay. Recreation Department, Mr. Kirshner.
Yes, Mayor, City Council, just I put in a weekly reader, but tomorrow at 10, we are doing the Community Cares Homeless Coalition meeting. Actually, able to add a few representatives, 2 from the school district, and Bethany Bird, who I think you remember, she called in your last presentation, and I've known her for years. She was part of the Art Center, so I got her tied in. So we'll meet tomorrow at 10, and we're going to have them try to give us a report. So when the homeless comes back, I think it's scheduled for the first meeting in November.
Okay.
Then we'll have that information included for you also. The drive-in movies went very well. All 3 sold out. No major problems. Only biggest problem we had is the generator decided to fail on us. And so, but the light towers from the school district were generated. So we were planning for technology. And so it was a 5-minute fix. So I do thank the school district for letting us use their light towers too. That helped out a lot. Looking at Hocus Pocus at Pioneer Village through the Recreation Department on October 30th. And then the Arts Council is looking for a holiday movie to do the same thing at a drive-in. So one of the things I do want to know, when you talk about economic development, our first movie 18 cars were from Selma, but we had cars all the way from Bakersfield and Tulare, Visalia, Fresno, Madera. So hopefully the businesses generated some revenue, and other businesses. We had a lot of people come from out of town too. So that's good news for those who can't just always rely on Selma to
Yeah.
hit the store. So, and then Kaiser Grant was submitted. Kaiser Grant reopened their submittal that we had done. They allowed us to reapply for up to 25,000. So I think November 6th was the date they said. So if successful, that 25,000 will go towards the senior meals.
Oh, that's good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Is that it?
That's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, moving along, we're going to council reports. Go ahead, Jim.
Okay, first I got to thank, we had this candidate forum. I got to thank people that participated in our candidate forum in the city of Selma. I thank them all because, and also thank the people that put it together. People that, even though it's a little bit different, you live stream a little bit different. So, but that's okay. It's good. People get involved in our government, in our city. I like it, from school board all the way down to our local officials. So it was a good turnout. But also this Saturday, I think the city of Selma, in partnership with the Central Latino Coalition Group which I belong to, we gave out 700 we brought in 700 sanitizers and masks to give out, and thanks to the fire and police that were there, and Teresa and our government officials, Scott and Sarah and Franco, they were there to support the program, and I thank them very much because it's all about keeping our community safe. You know what I mean? And any organizations we belong to, we try to give back to our communities. That's the way to do it. And everything we got rid of 300 and almost 360 sanitizer and mask, and I brought in 700, and what was left over, it was donated back to the city, so they can hand it out wherever they want. Okay, and so I thank the people that that helped out, from the fire and police that were there. I thank you very much, and I also thank our colleagues from up north, Brenda, very much, and also thank Raina, the coordinator in that group in our city. That was thank her very much, trying to set everything up between the staff and everything. So I thank her very much for you guys that coming out participating. I thank you very much. It was good, guys.
Thank you, Jim. Councilmember Robertson.
So due to a scheduling mix-up, I wasn't able to attend this morning, but I do want to say thank you to the High Speed Rail Authority for keeping their promise from 2017 that you made to the city of Selma, that you were going to put your educational training center here, and you followed through on that. Thank you. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. And it looked like it was a really good event today, and it's good for Selma. I have heard that Alan Langstrat would like to make a sign for Ringo Park, and he's looking for just permission. He's done a sign for the cemetery, and he's done a sign for the animal shelter. So I think if the city, maybe Mike, if he's reached out to you, or I know you know him and texted him before.
That'd be fine, because ironically, the rec commission, we had a discussion of new signs, Brandlinger identifying Lincoln and Ringo Park, because the other parks have nice signs. So yeah, I'll talk to him.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
Thanks. I attended a Cal Van's finance meeting. Good news, Boys and Girls Club is coming back. They're going to have the Boys and Girls Club Camp, which will be resuming October 19th for 16 younger kids. And then that's Monday and Wednesday, and Tuesday and Thursday, they'll have the older kids coming in. So that's really nice that it's opening back up for a limited number of socially distanced kids. Thanks to Jim Avalos and the Latino Mayor Coalition for donating all those masks on Saturday. It was nice to be out there at Ringo Park, which may have a nice new sign here pretty soon. And it was great for the community to have that PPE equipment. Thank you again. It was nice to see the support. I attended the Chicken Shack grand opening. It's another business coming to Selma, and they're hiring local employees, which is a really good thing. Appreciate that when they hire local people from Selma. Second Chance Animal Shelter. I want to say just kind of give them a shout out. We heard tonight from Juan Mendez, you know, he mentioned animal control. They perform a really important function for the city of Selma. They go out when there are illegal homeless encampments that are moved off and there are dogs out there that are left behind, which has happened many, many times. But maybe you also haven't heard about all the kids that get their first jobs at the Second Chance Animal Shelter who haven't had employment history and get to go out and volunteer. They do community service. It's the first job on their resume, and then they can build on that and go to other jobs. And finally, we just had a 12-year-old pit bull that the shelter brought in, and just out of sorts in town. It turns out he's hard of hearing. He can't hear, you know, like a lot of us as we get older. And the owner took a look on the website, came down, picked him up, and he has a partner at home. And so they're both getting chipped now so that when the shelter picks them up, we can just give them a call and they can come get them. That's what it's all about. It's a system that works. And I think it's good for the community. And I think it's good for the animals and the people and employment in the community. Participated in the Selma Forum Thursday. And I want to say thanks to Selma Aware for that. And I also participated in a Rotary presentation last Tuesday. Thanks to Rotary for that invitation as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Councilmember Trio.
I just want to inform you guys, SKF meetings for the month of September was canceled, lack of forum. Well, SKF meeting will be October 8th. We'll be handling that meeting. That is scheduled to be October 8th. Want to congratulate the high-speed rail, City of Selma, the partnership. I want to congratulate the staff. It was a really nice event. And so congratulations to the staff and high-speed rail. It's going to be a really positive moment for our community. And I also like to congratulate all our departments. I know we've been giving congratulations to separate departments, but in regards to the last 2 weeks, 2 months, actually, I've been noticing that every department in our city has been stepping up. And I just want to make sure that everyone in our, even our clerks, our everyone, congratulations, you guys are doing a great job. And that's it. Thank you, guys.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Guerra.
Okay, I just want to say I also participated in the mask and sanitize giveaway, and thank you, Jim Avalos, for putting that together. It's always nice to go back to my stomping grounds at Ringo Park and seeing the families that come through there that really would benefit the mask and sanitizers, and they really appreciate it. You know, it's amazing that we can speak to them, like some of our firefighters that are bilingual. I really appreciate that. He was really great and he did a great job. So other than that, I also attended the Chicken Shack grand opening, and I want to thank the owner, Oshman Gill, for the invitation. And it was a great, it's a great restaurant. In fact, we've gone back twice. The food is amazing. So it's going to be, Selma gained a great business, and that's what it's about. You know, we're going to continue moving forward with businesses and a lot of things that we have in the hopper. And I just thank everybody, our staff that worked so hard. You know, sometimes we lose sight, but I want to tell you guys, I really appreciate every one of you and for stepping up, because without you guys, I mean, we couldn't run a city. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Guerra. As for myself, I attended the Fresno Council of Government meeting, as well as the Fresno County Rural Transit Authority. And that's what you see this picture here. We want to thank Moses Stites, who received a grant application from Electrified America. So if you notice that we have a new charging station in town, that was for a partnership with Moses Stites and the Fresno County Rural Transit Authority. I guess several communities in the authority got these, and we were one of them. So we want to say thank you to Moses Stites, and it's just another benefit for the community, and it's a great partnership that's paying dividends. Also, as we all heard, the High-Speed Rail Training Center opened today. I just wanted to mention that It's what a great thing this is in Selma, where we have this free training going on. So if there's anybody you know who's looking for a possible career in the trades, that they should contact CVTC, which stands for Central Valley Training Center, CVTCprogram.com, and get more information. You know, it could just be life-changing if you decide to take advantage of it. With that, that's all I have, and I just will move on to oral communications. Okay, notice to the public. At this time, any members of the public may address the city council regarding any item which the council has jurisdiction. No action or discussion will be taken on any item not on the agenda. Issue raised will be referred to the city manager for review. Members of the public shall limit their remarks to 3 minutes. Do we have anybody wishing to speak?
Hi, caller ending in 664. Your line is unmuted. Do you have any comments for council under oral communications?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Raina. I was studying the measure that I am concerned about, the card room image coming to our city. I believe that as citizens who have under 12th grade education, we as leaders in our city, we really need to promote items that will be fruitful in the lives of citizens and not detrimental. The reason that I say a card room is detrimental is because, number one, the salaries that most of the citizens earn in our community many are below the poverty level of $13,000 a year. And if you look at some of the seniors who are living on a Social Security check, I just, in all good conscience, would not want my grandfather going to a card room, spending his Social Security check in a card room. I would not want my husband going into a card room, enjoying what might be entertainment and those kinds of illicit activities that may take place in a card room. I'm not sure what the entertainment is going to be, but I do know that many card rooms have topless women and burlesque men, and I feel like that is not the kind of Selma that I would like to have for myself and my family. It concerns me because we tried this in Fowler. We tried this in the 1970s with Galindo's and the topless dancers.
Mrs. Delgadillo, I do apologize for interrupting, but your time is up.
Vicky, thank you for sharing your thoughts. Like always, we should all need to vote our conscience on this matter. So with that, our time is up, and I appreciate your thoughts.
Yes, thank you very much. And I just want to be sure that there are people considering these kinds of things that I am mentioning, because it is wearing very, very hard on my conscience.
All right, they are, and thank you for that. So with that, we're going to close the public comment section, and I ask for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
All right. So moved. Thank you, everybody, and everybody have a great week and a safe week as well. Thank you.